We are going to do our ID notes today on swine. So swine are our pigs. There's a whole bunch of awesome resources here about carcass yield. So when we are actually raising the hogs and then we send them to slaughter, what we're actually getting out of those pigs and what the different cuts are and things. So definitely worth a look so you can actually really appreciate that bacon that you are eaten in the morning. So our ID notes we're going to set up with our ID note swine in the top left. We're going to have our name of our breed and then characteristics of the breed. You can do drawings if it's going to be helpful for you. I definitely, when you're taking your ID quiz, recommend doing a little bit of a drawing, or at least like the heads, the ears. You may want to just draw out the ears because that's going to help you in identifying your breeds. So we'll go ahead and get right into our ID notes on Quizlet. So the first the first swine that we're going to talk about is the Berkshire. So the Berkshire has black erect ears. Of course, our use is going to be for meat. They originate in Berkshire, England. And something notable about this breed is that they're the first breed to have an association to monitor the bloodline to ensure purebred status. When we talk about a purebred animal, we're talking about an animal that its whole lineage you can carry, you can look back and you can see that all of the ancestors were that breed of hog or that breed of animal. So mixed breeds are multiple breeds, right, put together. Purebred animals, though, they're only going to have that breed in their lineage. So a purebred poodle, only poodles. A purebred Berkshire, only Berkshires. So that is when we're talking about purebred status, and we want that, or certain people want that. You look for that because it's certain characteristics. So each breed has specific characteristics of those breeds, and so we're breeding them specifically for some of those desired traits. Okay, so the Berkshire, again, black erect ears, and they are the first swine breed to have an association. So they actually had people that were what they call stud books, and so you could see who was sired by who, right? So who the lineage was. Here is your Berkshire. So those black erect ears right there. They're a little bit shorter in stature than some of the pigs that we're going to see. But so there we have those erector tall ears. Next we have a Hampshire. The Hampshire is pretty, you guys have probably seen this one before. If you've ever seen an old classic movie, they're in that. But these are easy to identify because they're going to have a black stripe over their shoulders, and they do also have erect ears. So use of course is meat. They're from Hampshire, England. Notable is that it's very lean musculature for these and minimal amounts of fat. So if that's what you're going for with your cuts of meat, that is going to be the hog that you're going to want to use, or the swine breed that you're going to want. So here we have our Hampshire. So again, nice white line right here where the shoulders are, and then black everywhere else. So that's going to be that distinguishing characteristic there for them. Next, we have a Yorkshire. So the Yorkshire hogs are white. They're all white with erect ears. Uses are meat. Yorkshire, England. Notable is going to be that the females are actually used in crossbreeding programs due to being called the mother breed. They have a very high litter size as well as a higher birth rate for those piglets when they are born. So that's why they're referred to as the mother breed. So if we need high yields, right, so larger litters and also a larger birth weight. So here we have, it's white, definitely not pink, right? You can see that it's more white. And then we have those erect ears up here. We do have a little bit more of a height. You can see that beefy hock right back in there. And then the next one we have is a Chester White. Chester Whites are white, but they have lop ears. They originated in Chester County, Pennsylvania, and they have, notable is their mothering ability. So these hogs are a little bit nicer, right? They're more attentive, more maternal instincts is what you might hear that be called to. So these are nice because if you are going to allow your sow to stay with the piglets, they're going to be taking care of them. So that is a nice trait to have. They're going to be cautious around their young. And here we have all white, and we have those lop ears up front. Next, we have the Durock. Durock is very notable. They vary in color from red to yellow, but they have very strong bodies and lop ears, so you're really going to be able to see that musculature on these. Again, our uses for meat, they originated actually in eastern USA, which would be considered the Corn Belt, so Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, and Kansas. And so notable there is that the males are used to sire crossbreeds due to their heavier muscling and growth characteristics. So here we have our Durock. So they're all this nice, like they're going to be a color, but they're short, stout, and you can see all of this muscling in here, right? So nice and well-defined muscles, even on the ankles, the hock joint, and up in the front shoulders as well. Next, we have an American Landrace. American Landrace is white, has lop ears that point forward, so they're almost going to be parallel with the snout, so you're really going to try to look at the face when identifying this breed. They originated from the Danish Landrace, and so notable is that the females produce large amounts of milk and have very large litters. So here we have those ears going straight forward. Now, all of those notches you see, that's not a natural notching. That is what we will actually do to be able to identify the different pigs. So that ear notching is a number system for them. So we can look at their ears and know what individual they are. So it's pretty much just like getting your ears pierced, except we just take a chunk of it out. And it's done when they're at a very, very young age. Next, so those are all the breeds, but I just want to talk a little bit about what we use them for, which is their carcass, right? So the carcass is the animal after it's deceased. About 75% of the live pig weight is actually used for retail meat cuts. And so only 75% of it makes it on your table. But if you think about what makes up an animal's body, right? We don't consume the blood, we don't consume the hair or the skin. So that is about 25% of the weight that's in that animal. Okay, so that's the pig carcass. So here is shipment of the pig carcass, and someone will actually go through and grade these as far as they'll look at the marbling, which is how much fat is on them, how much meat, all those things. Next is one of the cuts that you're going to get is a side cut. Many of us that are bacon lovers don't actually realize that your side cut is where the bacon is. So bacon and spare ribs, and this is actually the underbelly. Okay, so bacon and spare ribs come from the ventral portion of the animal. So it's pig belly fat is what bacon is. It can be derived from the back, but it's very, very rare for that to happen. And then the spare ribs are like your rib tips, right? So that is, again, from that ventral portion of the animal. And it's very important that you do not, so here's some bacon, that you do not feed your animals pork ribs or ribs, really, because the bones will break up very easily in the system. As far as when the animal chews them, they break into shards, which can cause a lot of issues. So we would not recommend giving any pork bones or beef bones to your animals via ribs. Then we have some miscellaneous cuts. So these are things like your ears, jowls, feet, noses. These are often used as dietary supplements or treats for our animals. So ears, the jowls, or the cheeks. You might have seen pig feet or even the noses, right, in a pet store. So those are perfectly acceptable to give to your animals. Just know that it definitely may cause some belly upset because it's food that your animal's not used to getting, and it's very rich. So there are your side cuts and miscellaneous cuts that we can use for animals. So here we have an ear that the animal is enjoying.